Welcome to the Business Throuple podcast, where we share the real journey of what it takes to grow a global business.
I'm Al.
I'm Jasmine Cherie.
And I'm Jamey. Welcome to the podcast.
So welcome to episode 4 of
The Business Throuple.
So today we're going to be having a conversation. We've titled this,
What Your Accountant Will Not Tell You.
This is going to pique quite a few people. It might red flag
What's
a few
that?
conversations.
What's that term? Cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, it'll be cognitive dissonance. This is what I do in my other business, and this is a conversation that we're going to be talking about today. And it's a conversation that I'm really passionate about. Now, full disclosure, I'm not an accountant, and I'm not a finance professional. So please do not accept any of the information that we are telling you today as financial advice. Always do your own research. But I'm actually really, really profoundly passionate about this conversation. I've interviewed and I've had strategy sessions with hundreds of entrepreneurs. And so I've got a pretty good visibility of where people are at in their level of consciousness around business structures, around managing money, around managing finances. And I can tell you this right now, there are not very many entrepreneurs who are empowered in this area of tax and business structures. And every time I run a webinar on this, I'm like, hands up if you close your eyes and hope for the best at tax time. And most people just, like, they very sheepishly put their hand up, and it's like, I feel like we've given our power away as entrepreneurs, and we've been told, it's too technical. And yes, we do need. I'm so pro a brilliant accountant and having an accountant on your team that's going to support your business. But I don't. It's my belief that we're actually not educated at a very basic level, and I believe it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs to have a basic level of tax knowledge relating to the type of business structure that we have, and is our structure going to be supporting our business mission, but also our vision for our life. So I'm really, really stoked that we get to talk about this today,
Because it is like the key foundation of everything, right?
Well, it's the DNA of our business, is our business structure.
And when we talk about, like what we're talking about in a few episodes, like cash flow is your first skill set that you need to learn in business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I think, we're also talking into, people having like, I made 6 figures this month, but did you really, motherfucker? Because one of the things I think in entrepreneurship is like what we're talking to today is like managing your money and structuring your money.
And building a profitable business.
Yeah.
And here's why that's important. Building a profitable business and knowing our numbers it's business critical to your life force, because there's always going to be peaks and troughs. But how most entrepreneurs build their businesses is there's high peaks and low troughs, and there's a lot of them. And so if you can, I know it's a bit of a buzzword, but there's a history behind it. When people talk about sustainability and, building a sustainable business model, the reason why we do that is so that there's longevity in your business, and so that your nervous system can last, the lifetime of the business, and so that your business, and people always have a bit of a laugh when I say this, but so your business isn't a fart in the wind.
Yeah, I would say a piss in the wind. And I think this conversation is a backdoor conversation. Like
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like there's a certain level that you reach in entrepreneurship where you get to meet the right people.
Well, do you know, one of my mentors last year, I remember him saying, around business structures and money, and this guy's like I wouldn't call him a billionaire. He's got like cash in the bank, a couple of $100 million. So he's a seasoned
This is what I call the real entrepreneurs.
He's a hardcore real entrepreneur. But this conversation we're having with you today is a conversation he spoke about last year. Obviously, I didn't teach him this, but he was like, when he was taught about business structures and tax, it was like, I wish I had learnt this 10 years ago. And it's like, in a couple of episodes ago, we spoke about dumb tax. right? I believe that, having the right business structure means that you're not going to have secret, silent shareholders in your business where you're giving away your profits in the form of tax. There's dumb tax, but there's also income tax, and there's so many different types of taxes. And if we can educate ourselves, and it's like, what did someone say to me recently? They were like, "Oh my gosh, this is like putting your big girl and boy pants on." I'm like, "Yeah, sister, like let's fucking go."
This is what I mean. It's like the right, meeting the right people. And Al and I first, and like comes down to like everything's energy, right? And the people that you get in your space. And Al and I first come across this kind of business structure, which is what Jazz's realm is, her consulting is non-for-profit organizations. And we first heard about this concept maybe about 5 years ago from a seasoned real entrepreneur, because they're the ones making the moolah. They're the ones that know how to structure their business, and they're the ones that know the law and how to play within the law. And that's what I love about you. I think before we go any further in this conversation is your need to play within the rule book. Like you do your due diligence. You dot your I's and cross your T's, and that's why you're my business partner, right? You're great at that. So these guys, and
Do you know why I do that though?
Why?
Because I value being able to go to sleep at night with peacefulness in my spirit and confidence that, yes, I'm doing business my way, and I have a business structure that is serving my business.
And that's what I love that you allow us to do.
I've got a really strong conscience.
And our brand licensees go to bed at night sound. And I think in our previous businesses, I don't think I ever went to bed really at night feeling that's peacefulness, and that's okay. And like that, that we have a contract, and then you go, let's make that contract even better. That's what I love about you. But I think entrepreneurship is thinking outside the box, and it's a constant game of thinking outside the box. And when we first met this bloke that told us about NFPs and how people actually really do make money in business, our minds weren't ready for that, hey?
No. It's too much cognitive dissonance at the time, yeah.
We were like, I can't get into shit, man. Like, I can't have the tax man hunting me down. We just started out in business. And it was scary, like to think outside the box, and that was even possible. So we started to come across this concept over many years, and we actually didn't do it in our previous business. And because we didn't do it in our previous businesses at tax time, yes, we were those people.
Yep.
We were those, and on paper, we were making like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but then we'd have to run at a loss and make like 50 grand. And we did like 2 tax returns. Like we'd made literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're like, the accountants go, let's run this at a loss. And we'd actually bought a non-for-profit up with our accountant so many times. They're like, you cannot do that. You cannot do that.
Yeah, they fed us all the misconceptions of like, you'll never ever get a home loan, you won't be able to buy a vehicle. Like they gave us all of these scenarios which weren't even true. But it's just the way that they saw it, because they didn't even understand the concept properly themselves.
Yeah, and I think that they don't understand. Okay, well, let's talk about that for a second. So last year, probably about, what year are you in? 2023, 2022, 2021, I was done with my accountant.
Yep. I know how that feels.
And there was all this stuff going on. I couldn't get a hold of her. She wasn't answering any of my emails. I was asking the same question about 8 times. And so I was like, shit, I actually need to go and find an accountant that is going to support me and understand, what my business mission is, and, support the business owner, and not the ATO, I think, is the biggest part, which they're not really open to doing. Well, do you know, okay, I have opinions on this, which I'm willing to share. Part of my story is I went and interviewed 8 different accountants, unrelated, people who recommended. And I just asked them some really basic questions around not-for-profit business structures, and none of them knew what I was what I knew. And what I learned from that experience, is that this feels edgy to talk about. Like there's a certain reservation that I'm holding in this conversation. But what I learned was, and I have compassion for these accountants because they just go through the system.
The book says.
Yeah, what the book says, and they're only very specifically taught about a very specific, there's type of business structure. And I learned just through these conversations, they're very like, I'd book a call with them and I'd say, what do you know about this or X, Y, Z? And they would I was like, but that's not what that ATO website says. Why are you saying that? And then I finally found that it was the 9th person that I interviewed. And I was like, hello, my name is Jasmine. I've got this type of business structure. And he quizzed me on some things. And then he was like, okay, fine. And that was kind of like the end of the conversation. It's like, he knew. And I'm like, oh.
Because he was that mentality. Like, I think there's an accountant and then there's your entrepreneurial accountants, right? That they're willing to think outside the box a little bit.
Well, I don't know if they're entrepreneurial. Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Maybe they're accountants, but maybe they're more strategists. And so, and here's the person we go to. It's like, hey, we've got, XYZ problem. How do we, what can we do in this situation so that, we're still, like the business is protected, our assets are protected, and, it's still going to be financially viable. Like, here's the person, like as a team, the three of us, go to him and we have him to be able to leverage, and not just for the business, but, for my, I'm looking at buying another property this year. I've had this business structure for near on 5 years now. And, all those people who say, you can't buy a property or don't you fucking dare, get this type of business structure. I'm like, I don't want to be associated with those types of people because it is possible. And we do figure out a strategy on, how I can have the things in my life, and I've still pay myself a wage and I still pay my personal
Well, I think
income tax
it comes down to your need, like my need is for everything to be ecological. And I think going to a traditional accountant or playing in traditional business, it's not fucking ecological. And before we changed over to our NFP within the Green Rebellion and the structure, we had an accountant that literally made us take $100K off our books because he said there was no way that was humanly possible, even though we had the numbers and everything tracking it. And that he kept...
It still blows me away every time you talk about that.
It's fucked. And then he would come like money for nothing and your kicks for free. That's what I fucking believe with accountants. I've got a bit of a sore spot. I know like they're doing the best with what they've got, right? But kept charging us thousands of dollars to literally do nothing. And I think the thing that scares accountants most about this kind of business structure is it actually makes them nil and void. And
to an extent.
That is not true.
That's not true,
they
no.
think that, but it's actually not true.
It's not true, but that's within their mindset, right? Because they're taught by the book. And so when you start to look outside the book, and I think especially like,
I think it creates an element of fear from because
I'll go to the edges in the conversation. I know, like that
I'll rein you in.
Yeah, your mind. I think for me, right, like if I was an accountant and I had spent years playing in my field and spent lots of money playing in my field and had this new structure handed, that it would make me feel that way, and especially for somebody that, you've got an extreme business background and CEO and knowledge and business structures like that, but, you getting it on a level that they don't, I can imagine that would be really hard for their egos. And I do want to make a side note here too, like we're talking about the ATO, but I've spoken to a lot of real entrepreneurs in America and everything, and this kind of business structure can be set up, from my best of my knowledge, around the world.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, absolutely. And I like anyone who says that you'll never need an accountant ever again or is like, if anyone ever says that to you, run for the fucking hills.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Like, that's a major red flag. because you need to, you need someone who's, a professional in the field who's going to be able to help us strategically and financially to, strategically to help us reach our goals. But also, there's a lot of knowledge, that they know. And if you have the right person in the right seat, which is just a basic principle of entrepreneurship and building a global organization, have that person you can pick up the phone to and say, hey, what about this? Can you help us figure this out?
It's so good. And I think, like you said, though, like as entrepreneurs and, playing in the game, it's doing your own due diligence and knowing, like, accountants will tell you can't do this, and then you'll go to the ATO or wherever you are in your country and you read the rules and like, hey, this is not actually what my accountant's telling me. You can actually do this.
Yeah. Do and I think around money and business and entrepreneurship, like I think just so many of us do ourselves a disservice by turning a blind eye to this conversation. And so we don't keep accurate books. And it's like, okay, how can I level up in my game of entrepreneurship? There's a lot of people who, work in the quantum and, I'm going to manifest this or manifest that. I'm a quantum girl. And I'm also a realist. Mm-hmm. Give me the fucking numbers because numbers do not lie.
Yeah. And the one thing that a successful business person will tell you, like a seasoned veteran like Jamie's talking about, is you always do your numbers. Like it's the one thing that you have to be up on.
Do your own books. I was lucky enough. I think it was like a pivotal moment in my entrepreneur journey is just before we ended up pregnant, cracked in, all the things. I went to Grant Cardone's 10X. Best, like one of the best things to go to if anybody's listening. I will take commissions, Grant.
Hey, Grant.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you, Grant. But I think I paid like 30 grand for like his diamond ticket and like a pivotal few days to actually be in a room as what I would call real entrepreneurs. Like up until that stage, I was with people that made like a quick meal, like generating cash. Like I'm a fucking entrepreneur, but just not a seasoned veteran digging the trench and putting miles on the clock. I got in a room with those people and learning from them and what is possible in business and thinking outside the box is like a pivotal moment in my journey. And when I worked out probably with our previous business and, probably playing in the quantum a little bit, I did manifest that I wasn't playing a big enough game.
Mm. And what was that moment for you when you were like, shit, I'm not paying? It's almost be humbling for you. Was it humbling?
It was kind of, maybe I would say, like, I know that like permission slip is thrown around, like, but I think until you're around the energy of the people that are playing in that big game, right? Because there's always another level. And I had these business ideas popping into my head before I even was like, I had app ideas in my head that are still not built to this day when app were first a thing, and I know are missing in the market. Like I could literally be a billionaire 25 million times over, hey, with my ideas, literally. But it wasn't until I was in the room with those people that I went, fuck. Like you have this genius that you can be contributing to the world that is just sitting inside your brain right now.
And here we are with the
I think I actually went on a little bit of a tangent. I was going to talk about something about 10X and then I can't remember. I went on a tangent. I think the other thing that I would really like to speak about in this is, yes, setting up your business structure, making sure you're turning stones, thinking outside the box, seeing where you can, leverage the most of that income in that first step of cash generation within your business. But the second step is, right, like what I think we really all want to talk about is learning how to manage that money and move that money in the right direction, which a lot of people don't understand. So with our non-for-profit, we give back by our giving back program. That's how we give back to society. So the money that we would normally pay old mate the taxman, that goes back into our business.
It's old mate the taxman, or you'll be putting in your own pockets. That's a key distinction.
Yes.
So, not-for-profits, the money needs to stay in the business, and it's just makes good business sense to keep your money in your business so that your business can grow. Right, but you're removing, and I will say that, being income tax exempt, is not guaranteed. You still got to, follow the rules. It's not a free for all. And I tell everyone, like, go and create an extraordinary business, but play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
And the amazing thing is that most people that I talk to, that come in and they have a strategy session with me, they're already doing the thing. Like they're already, it's not some business. They actually already have a business. It's a purpose-driven business. They're, all their money is literally staying in the business anyway.
But the money's not working for them.
But it's not working for them. And there's that, I say this really respectfully, but there's like a lack of knowledge, and it's a business maturity thing. And it's a stage in entrepreneurship where we go, okay, well, like how, they might be operating as a sole trader, or they might be operating it as a standard PTY Ltd, company. PTY Ltds, they pay between 25 and 30% tax. Sole traders, that's a sliding scale, tax bracket. And it's like, what if I had a purpose-driven business that made a difference in the world, that I didn't really technically have to change much because all the money, is going back into the business anyway currently, still pay myself a wage. And then, they get to tax time and they've got to, they might have had a really amazing year in business, but they're operating, as they're operating in a business structure that's actually such high tax responsibilities. And then, like, this guy that I spoke to last week, he's like, I could literally increase my profits by doing, like, if I had the exact same year, by 25%, because he's operating, And it's like, well, yeah, you still got to play by the rules. This isn't a free for all.
Still got to play by the rules.
Play by the rules. Make sure your business is compliant, and go and continue to do what you do. Create an extraordinary business that actually it's a purpose-driven business that makes a difference in the world. And it's business as normal. Another question I always get asked consistently is like, I've got this business structure, now what do I do? I'm like, just continue what you're doing. Like, go and build your business.
Make money to make more money. I think that's the biggest thing as an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurs make money to make more money. They don't make money to spend money.
And it's going to give you it gives you the ability to free up that cash that normally would be going aside for tax, to put that into the business, to grow the business even bigger, so that it can continue to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I have this amazing coach, and she has this term, like, don't throw money at a problem. And so when I'm like spending money, and I'm always thinking, am I throwing money at a problem? And it's like those key little things that I think we ask ourselves as entrepreneurs, right? Like backing yourself.
Yeah. What I'm really looking forward to, because I've got my business consulting business, a lot of the time, it's tax time now.
Is it? I didn't even know.
It is tax time. We're coming up to end of financial year, and one of the processes that I take my clients through, everyone who's transitioned, to this business structure, is to there's a couple of really beautiful pieces in this process, but they've got to do their compliance forms, but also there's two other pieces. One is go back to your deed of settlement or your constitution, and get really connected back into
that's amazing idea
purpose, but also that's your governing rules, right? They're the things that you can and cannot do, and how you can operate inside your business. But the other really beautiful thing that I personally love doing at tax time every year, and it raises my vision, because as the financial year rolls on, we get so stuck in our business, but it's like going back and reflecting on the difference that your business made, whether it's in the homes, for the Green Rebellion, or the lives or businesses for myself, of the people that we work with. And, there's a sense of freedom that I give myself in how I make that difference. So there's a very specific purpose that the Green Rebellion has, and I love that it's donate 1 million hours of cleaning hours.
No, you're right.
No, did I get it right? 1
got
million
it right.
hours, of cleaning, and I connect into that for what I'm going to do, for the Sydney business. And I'm really passionate about women's homes, and I know you guys are passionate about, like people who are navigating cancer and whatnot, but, and I'm not interested in, being really loud on the internet about it. Like it's actually private and sacred to me. How and there's pro bono consulting that I do, for organizations that I think, they don't have the cash flow right now for them to be able to engage me, but I see them. And I had someone do that for me years ago.
Yep.
That scholarship that I spoke about, and I really grabbed it, and I like the value that gave me.
I'm so passionate about that's really big on my vision board is to do pro bono business consulting.
100%. Like, there are people who have gone before us who have given me opportunities. And in that same way, there's people, and people in my network, I can see they're fucking struggling. I can see that, hey, they're actually, this isn't a business transaction. This is actually I'm actually just going to help you because you need help and you're in a really bad place.
She does do that. I see that all the time. And I'm like, I'm sitting here as you're speaking. I'm like, imagine if all businesses were purpose driven. Imagine if we were all had the mentality of contribution behind everything that we did, and imagine the world that would make. And I know for me, like, I love talking about business. I always get a lot of young people go, can I ask you some business advice? And I'm never like, no, you must pay me $30 million. I'm like, sure, because I love talking about business. It's like, for me, that is win-win. If you want to sit down and have a business conversation with me and I'm doing it for free, I'm actually getting something from it too.
Yeah, and I just love seeing. I'm so passionate about this because someone gave me that opportunity, and I've had people believe in me. So if I can spend time, and like I've still got a business to run, I've still got to, pay my team. I've got like make bank in the business and make sure it's a profitable business. But I mean, there's someone that I've got in my mind's eye right now around. Like I've been on a journey with them for the last number of years actually, and I'm the person that she'll call, Jazz, I'm in a bad place, or Jazz, and I'm like, yo, okay, let's just, and I want to be that person for people, and I want to keep my heart open, and it's because I'm passionate about business.
There's a person I'm thinking about that does that for us too.
Yeah, well, I wrote a post about this recently about our networks. Like, who do you have in your network, and then who do they have in their network? Because that's the essence of what an ecosystem is. When we're, because it's not all, I need help, and I've got to pay $100,000 to get this person's help. It's like we get to actually be that for people in our networks. Like, pick up the phone. Hey, who do you know? Can you help me solve this problem? Like, and then in half an hour, the problem's fucking solved, right? And like, I think that is such an integral part of how we do business, So anyways, back to this process that I take my clients through. It's like, get connected back to your constitution and what your governing rules are, but actually go back and reflect on, like the difference that you made in, people's lives, and like with intentionality, and maybe set a new intention for the year of like, okay, well, last year it was this year it's going to be, I might run some free workshops for people who can't afford my services, or I might do consulting over here, or, like we get to,
and contribution is one of, Uncle G talks, or not Uncle G, Uncle Tony talks about, contribution as one of our 7 human needs. And I see a lot of people not scratching that itch, and it feels fucking good. We're out of time.
I know. I want to end this by saying, I love that we've had a conversation today. It started off about not-for-profit business structures, and it's ended in contribution, because that is the essence of what a not-for-profit is, and at the core of who we all are as individuals, but also as a team, that is, the essence of and the birthplace of what we're creating in the Green Rebellion, as an organization and in my own individual business as well.
I would love for somebody to come in and like just pick a business hood apart, like just completely have a look and see how we've structured things. So not only if you don't want to become a part of the Green Rebellion, they can go, okay, how can I do this? Yeah. How can I set a business model up like this? Because it's fucking amazing what we've created. Once again, you can find us on all our socials down in the links. If you're interested in learning about a non-for-profit organisation for yourself, you can contact Jasmine Cherie. Her link will be down in the comments. If you want to come and learn about becoming a brand licensee and setting up as a non-for-profit for the Green Rebellion, you can reach out to me.
Or if you have a home or a business that requires cleaning, also reach out and click on the Green Rebellion .com website below and look for your area. We love you.
And I think this is the last in our first 4 series of the podcast. To keep this moving, please share this out there. We're really passionate about giving people a look under our business hood. Contribution is really big for us. That's why we're doing this. We want to share the real story of what it takes to grow a global company. So please share this with all your friends. If you've got value out of it, basically share everybody because we don't pay for advertising.
We love you.
Thank you.
Uru.